Vale, entonces puede ser más bien defensivo para los compañeros. Claro, o sea, con la llovizna le metes un debuff al fuego interesante. Pues está guay como estrategia defensiva. Vale, empieza de Intimidate.
There's going to be the Tauros and King Gambit combination for Angels, so no sighting of the Dondozo from Chuppa just yet. That said, I think we're going to have to analyze it a little bit later.
Va a empezar ya yendo a por el...
Real quick, but there is certainly something to be said about how it is going to be.
Me ha sorprendido que saca King Gambit de primera, ¿eh?
So there's the moves locked in quickly from Angel. I think this is trying to have that explosive turn one with two very offensive Pokémon.
Es que, ¿sabes lo que pasa? Le intentó... sí. Pero ¿sabes lo que pasa? Que creo que le acertó la predict porque el otro le fue con el PAWMOT. Y claro, si llega a haber tirado con el Pelipper, llovizna, teniendo al Tauros al lado con el PAWMOT delante, se va a la mierda. Se va a la mierda, o sea, hace en plan de... Vamos a ver. Teratipo volador, ojo. Fake out. Vale. Pero no me esperaba ese teratipo.
I guess so, you know, Chuppa somewhat avoiding the danger there. Does take a bunch of damage return, but at least gets to see the terrestrialization on the other side.
Okay, Golden.
I'm surprised to see Dondozo. Like, one thing to keep in mind of his team matchup, you know, again, we haven't seen
no, Google, no, a ti no.
The whole combination yet, but this is one time where Angels has so many tricks for this matchup that perhaps we'll see over the course of this game that it's really tough to win using the Dondozo-Tatsugiri combination. So, and maybe those other Pokemon that Chuppa will have to lean on,
vale.
Such as that PAWMOT.
Dejará el Tauros en combate.
It's never been like a high usage Pokemon, but it does a really neat trick in that there's a 1 PP move that can revive any of its knocked out friends. So,
pero de momento no lo entiendo. Vale. Ok, va a aguantar un pepinazo.
Being able to bring back one of your Pokemon just makes those numbers really tough to deal with. PAWMOT is leaving the field, and it is being swapped out for the Meowscarada.
¡LOL!
No way to activate the commander ability. We see all 4 of Chuppa's Pokemon.
Vale, hizo doble cambio,
Switch. So the King Gambit left the field, and the Tauros in exchange for the Amoonguss and the Mimikyu. The Dondozo will fire off the Rave Crash into the Amoonguss.
Vale. Muy buena predict.
To really be a concern. So just a little bit of recoil damage for Dondozo, and a nice, safe double switch. Clearly, this pairing is something that is really, really important for Angel.
Yeah, I mean, we do see the option of that Trick Room on Mimikyu there. A lot of quicker Pokemon on Chuppa's side of the field, so that could be pretty devastating. And it's the 3 Pokemon you kind of see as he has his team up here. Mimikyu, Amoonguss, and Tauros.
Mimikyu en un torneo, ahora soy feliz. Efectivamente. Me está gustando verlo, Mimikyu, de todos modos, no te vuelvas muy loco, ¿vale? Y no spamees las Mayus, porfa. La manía de los Shiny, sí, criado... Cuando veo eso, es lo de criado en granja. Vamos. Vienen y en vez de estrellitas deberían salir palabritas de Pokéhex. Así en plan, Pokéhex. Criado en Pokéhex. Se puede, bolsita de trapo. Nada, cambió a Mimikyu. Hay una cosa que he visto del Mimikyu que me mola. Y tengo que preguntar. El ataque maldición, cuando tú lo botas con un fantasma que te quitan la mitad de la vida para maldecir al adversario, cuando lo cambias, ¿pierde el efecto? ¿O se queda como un estado alterado que cuando vuelves te va a seguir quitando vida? Porque es muy interesante eso. No me desagrada esa estrategia de Mimikyu. Sí lo pierde. Vale, entonces es una mierda. Entonces lo siento, pero maldición es solo un ataque más para obligar a lo mejor al cambio. Pero hay muchas formas más sencillas y con menos coste para obligar a cambiar, como puede ser un bostezo de otro Pokémon. Sí, pero no me termina de molar.
But this King Gambit applying a surprising amount of pressure, I think. You know, just being able to kind of shut down that golden go, certainly an interesting way to get around it. Amoonguss wants to get that regenerator ability. Time to
Antes de gastar un turno en una maldición así, tiro un sombravil o algo.
really just saw appear, then leave immediately. Actually, a Pokémon I think Angel is very.
Es que no sé, no sé. A lo mejor podrías tirar maldición si metes a Mimikyu siempre como último Pokémon y sepas que los rivales ya no tienen cambio. Es la única forma que yo llevaría al Mimikyu con eso. Llevarlo como último para cuando entre ya los rivales no tengan cambio y por lo cual, una vez que se coma la maldición, sabe que va a morir.
Make it rain will connect with the King Gambit, not going to get it knocked out, will drop the special attack of Golden Go, the Disguise will take that one for the Mimikyu, and doing a lot less damage, just a little fraction of its health in exchange for that change of form compared to what we would have seen. King Gambit though will get followed up on
Javi, ¿qué pasó?
Wave Crash, and it's a knockout for the Dondozo, so still able to put it.
Amigo, ¿me recomiendas conseguir Pokémon hackeados? No, en mi canal no recomendamos nunca eso. Eso sí, que cada uno como jugador haga lo que le dé la gana. Pero yo no recomiendo a nadie utilizar el Pokéhex. No me gusta.
First, make it rain a little bit on Mimikyu by using a Disguise to block the attack, while Golden Go has that neutral special attack. Now, has it reduced a little bit, but that first knockout going to Chuppa.
That is certainly you know, a big swing for him, I think, in the momentum, as both trainers were kind of figuring the matchup out a little bit. Of course, you have to remember he has the PAWMOT in the back. That is, of course, very, very low, but could get caught out. But being able to swing the numbers is certainly an interesting.
¿Con sombra trampa o mar de ojo?
Over the course of this game.
A ver, con la habilidad obviamente no puedes hacer nada porque la habilidad tiene disfraz. Pero te digo, la única forma que yo utilizaría maldición es asegurando, sin necesidad de gastar nada, que el rival no pueda cambiar.
So it's now to Mimikyu to deal with the Dondozo, or Dondozo to deal with Mimikyu in return. Let's see how these two go. It is just the play rough, getting it down to below half, and lowering the attack. That is certainly going to help out. The Earthquake, another reason for Golden to protect, so it doesn't take that damage from the side. Will land, of course, into both the Tauros and the Mimikyu, but it's just not that much damage. Looking even worse after that play rough attack drop as well.
It technically attacked that turn. Hey, you know,
El teratipo a cero, colega.
All that stuff about the pennies and the pounds, but
va a meter fiebre dorada, lo más seguro.
A light-looking piggy bank as you start to cash in for those knockouts, but both trainers are still. I don't think anyone has made a clear-cut advantage. Yes, there is a knockout on Angel's side. You know, he's lost the King Gambit, but these Pokemon, particularly the Paldea and Tauros, could start to put a little bit of work. And really, you know, if you're thinking of the Golden Go, you've just protected. Where do you?
¿Algún maquinación antes? A ver, es que ¿sabes lo que pasa? Tiene un Mimikyu delante. ¿Sabes? No sé yo si a lo mejor, ¿sabes? No le va a meter súper efectivo porque solo tiene el tipo acero ahora mismo. Pero... Y encima el Tauros tenía, obviamente, vale. Vale, tenía la bocajarro. Tenía la bocajarro, tío. Se lo comió. ¡Venga! Es que claro, le metió carantoña. Nos vamos a comer carantoña arroz con bacalao. Es que... Loco, tirando doble protect. Ya les vale. ¿Cuándo empezaba la nueva temporada? La Real Orígenes empieza en... el 1 de febrero. Porque la Series 2, ¿vale? Que es la que tenemos ahora, no ha cambiado nada. Pero a partir del próximo mes es cuando empiezan los cambios, que podemos utilizar Pokémon Paradox. Que va, el combate lo tiene encarriladísimo ya. Bueno, encarriladísimo no, es metafísicamente imposible. Tiene sombravil. Se acabó. Se acabó. Se acabó, o sea, eso... Los Paradox y los trabajadores.
Yeah, pretty dominant game one. I think a little concerning on Chuppa's side.
Mimikyu, segundo aviso, te voy a meter un timeout. Vale, de un segundo.
Dandozo Tatsugiri combination was able to win with that despite Chuppa going with a different approach, right? I think it's kind of like the worst of both worlds, where like he's committed for Pokemon that weren't there. It's still won like very cleanly. So I think this is a really difficult game 2 adjustment for Chuppa now. Where
muy buena partida, de Ángel Miranda. Voy con él, voy con Ángel Miranda en esta ronda, Y el Tatsugiri, ahora que lo pienso. Espera, tengo una carta para eso. En lo que vamos esperando.
Well, it's one of those that gets you through one turn, but later it comes back to haunt you, and I think that's such a tough part of the mechanic. The players are still getting their heads around it. It's like, will the payoff now be worth potentially suffering later? And what was interesting about this one is both of them had actually shown a lot of their hand in this one with a lot of switching early doors. They knew what was coming forward for like their opponent, so kind of falling into that one, it's like, yes, Golden Go gets to do more damage with Make It Rain, hurrah! But there's a Paldean Taurus around, and that is something that you've got to think about. Going from Ghost Steel to just Ghost, I don't know, I really like the Ghost typing on Golden Go, and I know in some cases, you know, if it pushes you to the win with the extra damage from Make It Rain, that is value.
Esto.
On the flip side, when you get hit by a close combat,
Deseando salir ya, por favor.
Something for the other side of the field too is like I don't think Angel really is a position where he has
literal
value out of his terrestrialization, right? Like I think he has a pretty significant team matchup advantage. So you know, Chuppa might have to hit a home run with his terrestrialization and the way he plays the game. Where you know, Angel maybe can just hit a single and still win.
Venga, vamos para allá.
I have to learn these, and I do understand those. We're getting there, Scott. But it's the Taurus and Mimikyu.
Vale, empezó de pie. ¡Buh! Chu, ese mi Escarlata, sácalo de ahí. A ver si Mimikyu juega. Hace la predict y en vez de tal bota una TR. Mira, bota la TR. Decidió botar la TR, vale, muy bien, muy bien. El mi Escarlata ese lo va a cambiar. No creo que lo deje. No creo que lo deje. O sea, es que ni de coña. Me niego en rotonda.
And surprisingly, Mimikyu's still a great Trick Room setter, right? It is always going to cause problems with the disguise ability. And of course, the Taurus just being on the field, I think.
Como le haga la predict de que el mi Escarlata se queda, le pega. Es que se quedó. Claro, hubiese cambiado antes por el tema de la velocidad. El mi Escarlata más rápido que el Tauro, que yo sepa. Vale, hizo... Ok. Vale. Ni tan mal, tiró un ida y vuelta. Vale, meta Goldengo. Y TR. Ahora van a atacar ellos antes, obviamente.
I do think it's the best turn one that Chuppa could realistically have gotten there, though. I mean, I guess like you can try and double Mimikyu and stop the Trick Room, but if you're not going to do that, I did have Golden Go out in the Trick Room now. It can't be spored. It has a type advantage against the Mimikyu. The Mimikyu's disguise is broken. It's not a great spot just because, yeah, this is not a good team you're playing in Trick Room with when you can't use the Dandozo combo, but, you know, it's solid. The problem is, yeah, how do you stop the Spore from coming in on the other slot?
Mimikyu es más lento que Goldengo. En términos generales sí, obviamente si lo lleva con TR lo tendrá con los I al máximo, o sea, IPS al mínimo de velocidad, pero ha decidido cambiar. Ahora la cosa es, ¿quién es más lento, King Gambit o Goldengo?
So time to switch things around. Now Escarlata, a much better choice as the grass type not able to just get spored. So the Amoonguss going first, falling for that one, not able to connect that one. As Golden Go realizes to maybe try and set up a little bit. It's got to put in a large amount of work. Gets that nasty block going. So
King Gambit es más lento.
Angel does get to see the switch though, and a little bit of breathing room kind of bought for Chuppa by setting up that nasty block. So it does connect with the Make It Rain. It can push.
Vale, bola de polen y nada, ya va a ir al ataque.
He's building up. Got the nasty plot for free. The Golden Go's not in an amazing situation here, but he did manage to avoid that Spore on the previous turn. But now we're in a weird spot where both of Angel's Pokemon are potentially threatening a bunch of damage on their side. This is one
Por cierto, gente, para todos los que estén en el directo, que no sé cuántos seremos ahora mismo, voy un poco perdidillo. Recuerden, ¿vale? Que pueden apoyar el canal suscribiéndose y cualquier cosita así. También tienen los bits para participar en el canal utilizando comandos y demás, ¿vale? Y obviamente, si eres nuevo, te invito a que sigas el canal. Vale, Golden Go era 0, repite.
But let's see if that comes back later, like it did in game number 1. The Pollen Puff will land into the PAWMOT, not very effective, but a little bit of chip damage.
Y se le hizo buena a través de los cambios.
Well defensively here, as he's not able to get caught out by that Kowtow cleave. The Make It Rain will come through with extra damage, and after that nasty plot, that is absolutely huge. The Amoonguss just taken out, and
vale que tiene el coste como tal, pero ya se fundió al Among Us,
Very well for Chuppa.
Yeah, we've seen why Golden Go's so feared, right? Where we've seen so many players shift toward a more defensive Golden Go set. But yeah, I mean, both the nasty plot and an offensive item, we haven't seen too much of that. It's largely been like nasty plot and leftovers.
Vale, tiene un Pokémon que todavía no ha mostrado, así que puede tener un cambio abierto para meter en vez del Miascarada, porque se comería el Carantoña y lo reventaría igual. A ver qué cobertura tiene ahí, o qué Pokémon metió al final. ¿Habrá metido Dondoso a palo seco?
So many quick Pokemon in his side.
He's been able to find a knockout in there as well, and he still has a Pokemon advantage at 4-3, so understanding this Trick Room and how to play around it is really wise. The Pokémon will fake out into the King Gambit, and then there is going to be a flinch over there. The Mimikyu is going to connect the play rough into the Pokémon.
Vale, se lo come. No hizo cambio, vamos a ver. Y termina el turno y creo que con la lluvia dorada... Yo lo llamo lluvia dorada, no fiebre dorada. Porque el ataque es una hediondada. Vale, por eso lo llamo lluvia dorada.
But just the wrong time, right? We saw Angel looking at the status of the game. There's still one more turn of Trick Room, and that
la lluvia dorada del Golden Go.
Would be fantastic if this game goes one more turn and
por no elegir golpe bajo.
Being the quickest Pokemon on the field.
Qué sucios que sos, suscríbete, Fabri.
The flip side of trying to do these hybrid speed things where yes, you have your Trick Room turns, those are really cool, but
ese fake out fue win.
Outside of that Trick Room, you know, and if you have to kind of end the game before the Trick Room ends, yeah, it's going to look really bad for the Taurus. So that is taking to the field right
vale,
now.
Tiene 3 Pokémon y ya está solo con el King Gambit, ¿no? Ah, no, el Tauros está vivo todavía. Vale, mete Intimidate.
Try and slow things down. Not going to be an impact on the Golden Go. This King Gambit is dangerously low.
Yeah, just this is a tough spot now.
Vale, va a botarlo. Con Nufendiente lo mete. Todavía está en la TR. Que no, que es dislexia. Le queda un turno, ¿no? De la TR.
The PAWMOT, even though it didn't really get to dish out any damage, was kind of like just effective enough where, you know, it protected Golden Go enough that it was able to, you know, hang out for all these turns of Trick Room.
Va a hacer ahora lo que debió hacer el turno anterior. O sea, botarle el fake out, ¿no?
Well, it is going to be the Terrestrialization from Angel's side, so deciding to match this one up and very wise.
Vale, Teratipo, plantita.
It's going with the grass type, so getting rid, it's obviously the Aqua breed, so getting rid of that massive weakness to the Miascarada is absolutely huge. The Golden Go will protect this turn, so no,
¿vale?
You know,
no, pero Miascarada cae. Miascarada cae.
Doesn't want to fall foul of that one too quickly. The Taurus is going to be in a position to try and cause some problems. Miascarada going as the dark type,
¿vale?
will get the knockout on King Gambit, so
con mutatipo ahora es de tipo siniestro.
Able to connect and then started to cause some problems. Of course, it does have the assault vest. You are able to not able to protect with that one. But the dark type
lo revienta.
this Miascarada here,
Ahí está.
as it just gets knocked
y
out.
la defensa baja.
But
Le queda un Pokémon que todavía no hemos visto. El combate lo tiene muy encarrilado, O sea, todavía puede llegar a ser algo, pero... Bueno, yo me voy. Hasta luego. Venga, Tauro, tócala.
Arcanine's looking pretty smug there, and I think it's about to send us to a game 3.
Yeah, that is come back to cause so many problems. I mean, it didn't really matter in that turn, right? Like, it wasn't able to cause that problems. He does get to show the steel type costs you, and you get to knock it out with the close combat. But at the end of this turn, I think it's going to be looking...
A ver, Sacer, muchas gracias por ese follow. Es que esperaba, colega, te sacó un Arcanine. Eso estaba muerto. Más no lo habían avisado. ¿Sabes qué digo? Muchas gracias de verdad, Sacer, por ese cacho de follow. 1-1. 1-1, se decide todo en esta ya. Yo creo que Chuppa en esta va a ir con la estrategia de Dondoso. Fijo. Fijo. Creo que en este combate va a ir con Dondoso ya. Aunque creo que el Arcanine ahora es muy buena propuesta, ¿vale? Por las cosas que tiene, o sea, tiene el Goldengo con teratipo acero, en caso del Tauro, teratipo planta. Sale, va a ir a lo mejor por esa, ¿sabes? Llevar la estrategia de Dondoso y llevar de auxiliar al Arcanine. Junto a lo mejor con el propio Goldengo, o no sé si tirará por otro lado, con mi Escarlata o el PAWMOT. Me voy a echar una siesta, dejo el directo abierto. Venga, descansa de vez. Ay, cómo me gustaría estar en un top de esos solo para llevar un peluche de Chandelure y ponerlo ahí. En plan de toma. Que no lo puedo jugar en el juego, me da igual. Ahí, pum, el Chandelure. Mi Escarlata encuentro que sobra ahí. A ver, no lo veo del todo mal, pero bien es cierto que a lo mejor podría tener otro Pokémon que pueda suplir mejor, que aguante más. ¿Te gusta Chandelure? Sí. Es mi Pokémon favorito. Venga, vamos. Empieza de mi Escarlata PAWMOT. Vale, al final no ha tirado por Dondoso, ¿eh? ¿Y eso? No es nada especial, sencillamente me gusta. O sea, a ver, te digo, motivos. Tiene la mezcla de tipos favorita mía, que la comparte con Cerulege y con Esqueledirge, que es fuego, fantasma o fantasma, fuego. Y sencillamente el diseño me parece una puta maravilla. ¿Que es una lámpara como tal? Sí, pero me parece precioso el Pokémon. O sea, es que no sé, tiene como algo que me gusta, no sé. No me lo explico, pero me encanta, lo adoro. ¿Alguien tiene un buen dito para breeding? Pues no lo sé, Alan. Ahora mismo hay muy poca gente en TikTok, ¿eh? En lo que es en mi canal.
Oh, well, there's not going to be a fake out as the PAWMOT does return to the field. So let's see how this one is going to work out. The Golden
Vale, mete a Goldengo.
Of the PAWMOT, King Gambit leaving the field. So making sure that there's a little bit of wiggle room here, and the Mimikyu right again. The targeting here of the Paldean Taurus.
Se arriesgará y meterá directamente con Goldengo el teratipo, vale. Explota. Muy buena con el Tauros ahí. Ya se reventó a mi Escarlata. Y corroborando lo que dice Brantes, mira, se lo ha fundido en 0, vale, entra Arcanine. No lo veo mal por el tema del Intimidate.
against two Pokemon who
Pero,
are negatively affected
uff.
by Intimidate, but yeah, I mean, he lost a whole Pokemon for that, right? And like, it seemed like
Va
was
a
gonna have a
meter,
pretty
va a
good
meter
matchup.
cambio.
The reality has kind of been that it can't swing all that safely and is super frail. So like, I don't think it's the
Es
worst
que,
in the world.
o sea, tienes literalmente un Pokémon de agua ahí.
Pokemon to switch around with and maybe use as a sacrifice later is a big loss.
It's certainly going to cause some problems there. The Paldean Taurus leaving the field, doesn't want to get caught after those close combats.
La Protect pa' cuando Protect no
Way too
existe.
easy, though. Chuppa has decided it's time
Vale,
to set up
Machinate.
and go again.
Machinate too.
Something that was integral in the last game. As
Vale,
Mimikyu
maldición
reveals one of my
contra
favorite moves. It's going to be
el Arcanine.
So it does cut its health in half, and then it's going to be taking chunks of health off the Arcanine between turns until it switches out.
Prote, ¿quién es Prote? Yo soy Bastaguardia de Incógnito.
Of course, this is in the Dondozo matchup.
O bueno, yo soy refugio o detección.
In game 3, it's going to force a switch, and we know what the switch is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really interesting move in the situation, too. Maybe it's mostly for Dondozo, but anytime you're up with the Pokemon advantage, like,
A ver
right,
qué va a tirar.
Pressure, particularly in this situation, right? Well, you switch out the Arcanine. Well, how do you get it back in without activating the Defiant ability, right? It's a weird synergy where, you know, he can't really afford to just give up Arcanine here, which I think is almost giving up the game, but perhaps we'll leave it out here.
Un poco de Bastaguardia no estaría mal contra ese Goldengo. Efectivamente, joder y tanto. Para la lluvia fiebre dorada.
So accepting that at some point he might get hit
A ver.
by the close combat,
Vale,
but in this
Sombraville.
turn, it's super important. In this turn, it saves him from the Shadow Sneak and the Sucker Punch, so he's able to take those hits without being Ghost type. Of course, that nasty block did boost up the stats over on that side of the field. Mimikyu easily knocked out here.
Nah, Mimikyu a la M.
Of course, King Gambit is
Y el
going to
Arcanine.
deal with something from this Arcanine, which could be a lot more punishing. So, let's see how much. And Golden Go is, of course, taking a little bit of damage as
Que
well.
va, olvídate.
The Arcanine's sticking with it,
Olvídate.
going with another one of those Flare Blitz, easily getting the knockout on the King Gambit.
Lo
So
siento,
be able to switch out, without
pero
giving away
tienes
that
que
fast.
recoger tus cuchillos e irte,
Of course,
Ángel
starting
Miranda.
up when you've got that curse ticking between turns as well.
I mean, that's a pretty big
¿Qué pasó aquí? Bienvenuti.
Pokemon here, too. I mean, we'll see Amoonguss and Tauros coming
Por cierto, Aki, hoy me acordé de ti fuera de directo. Porque en Pokémon, o sea, en el canal Neox, estaban dando Pokémon, ¿vale? Una de las temporadas viejas estas y tal. Y salió precisamente la entrenadora de tipo volador, ¿vale? La líder, que no me acuerdo si era joven o algo de eso. Que tenía un Skarmory. Y me vi el episodio entero por eso. ¿Sabes? Solo porque tenía lo del Skarmory. Oh, coño, me acabo de acordar de aquí. Y me quedé viendo el episodio. Gerania, creo que era. Cuidado, Anton. Esas Mayus. Gente.
I think Raging Bull is absolutely the way to go here. You can't just be throwing your defenses away like that every single turn. So being able to make sure that he catches some of that. I mean, you know, it's what happens as well, you know, when we get to
No pasa nada, Anton. ¿Sabes? Si es solo un comentario se puede entender, pero ya si se vuelven muy locos, ahí es donde ya tengo que plantar un poquito, meter un timeout y todas esas cosas. Es que, loco, es que son 3 Pokémon, tío. El Among Us, ojo que lo aguantó, Y creo que Arcanine se fue a la puta, ¿no? No, Arcanine sigue vivo. Vale, se quedó a muy poco. ¡La Spo! No hacía falta. No hacía falta porque se iba a morir solo con las... Chiquitín. ¡No! Esa espora era para el otro. Ay, Dios. Bueno, no pasa nada. Esto es obviamente hablando yo a posteriori. ¿Sabes? Obviamente hay que estar en el lugar de él. Al igual que os digo yo que cuando estoy en mis combates y hago fallos de predit o cosas así, ¿vale? Hay que estar en ese lugar para ver cómo jugaríamos.
that cheeky. I'd say Revival Blessing is audacious if you can get it off here. And of course, you're still in a pretty tough situation to try and work through this one.
El Tauro se come al PAWMOT, ¿no? Bueno, incluso al Goldengo le mete un close combat y fuera. Vale, ¿le va a meter Tera tipo planta? No, espérate. Vamos. Siniestro. Se quita el Goldengo. Vale, polvo ira.
Gets thrown out. The Taurus, of course, flinching from the fake out. Now, the Rage Powder is not really going to matter here, as Naked Rain will be connecting on both of these Pokemon. And the Amoonguss able to tank that one up. Golden Go's special attack dropping and losing some of its health. This is a really, as you said, it was a volatile turn, a dicey situation, and a Rage Powder that did absolutely nothing for Angel.
Yeah, I mean, this is really strange now, because, yeah, I mean, Tauros is going to knock out one of these two Pokemon, right? It's going to move first, and now then we can survive attack. But what do you do? Well, if you let it make it rain, the game's over. So you kind of have to knock out Golden Go now, which exposes PAWMOT, who could now, if it wanted to, get off that Revival Blessing. But if you're bold on Angel side...
Vale, creo que va a ir con todo ya.
And then, yeah, I mean, PAWMOT only a single attacks, so it can't knock them both out. In that scenario, if he clicks anything but Revival Blessing, the game's over.
Yes, so this is a crazy turn. It's going to be the Rage Powder for the Amoonguss.
Pero es que
Golden Go is absolutely essential here. The Taurus will connect the Raging Bull, obviously. That's
vale, mata uno. Okay.
Point of this team has been knocked out. The Pokemon that saved him so
Okay.
Number 2. PAWMOT with the Revival Blessing.
¡Ay, mi madre! Plegaria vital.
Not what Angel was expecting coming into the following turn. So being able to bring back a partner is...
¡Ay, mi madre, que acaba de tirar la plegaria de los huevos! ¡Los huevos! ¿Alguien puede sacar un clip de esto?
Interesting. So we know Tauros is locked into a water type attack here, so it's a little weird to bring Arcane, but yeah, I think Arcane is the answer, right? You do get the Intimidate out here, so it'll reduce its damage, and you kind of in a spot, right, where, again, you know, it can't knock out both of these Pokemon. Arcanine, even though it's not as quick as Tauros, is threatening extreme speed, which kind of forces Amoonguss into another Rage Powder if you don't just want to immediately lose the Tauros. It's still an awkward position where, you know, I don't think Chuppa...
¿Sabes cuando chupas un limón? Ángel Miranda tiene que estar ahora chupando un limón.
Let's see how this one comes out. It is one of the closest games I think we've seen all weekend, to be quite honest with you, Scott. This Taurus locked into the Raging Bull, trying to get these knockouts as quickly as it can. As
velocidad extrema fuera.
Taurus, that is come back. It got cursed, it got knocked out by the curse. Then it got revived. It's definitely getting a little bit spooky.
Los combat y se acabó.
Landing into the dark type Amoonguss. A super effective hit for 7
Madre mía, tío. Madre mía.
From Chuppa Cross played out here on stream. He'll be moving into the top 8.
Yeah, really fantastic set there. And yeah, I mean, what a move.
Madre mía. Muy buena partida. Muy buena.
The only way out, right? Like, it doesn't matter what else that Pokemon could have. You know, it's I think people were really